hold them for a day or two. Oh, look at that wind. Whacking the panicum grass around. When did James start driving? What date? He doesn't sound very confident about that, Brian. When did you start driving?
31st.
31st. But that was the day we didn't have any cats.
No, I came back to lions and leopards on my first drive.
Ah, then it was the day before. It sounds like we're on day 5. I'll have to double check that. Day 5 of big cats. And of course the grand prize, the holy grail, is to try break the streak we had last year of 29 days on the trot with big cats. Now, I think the best chance for this to break the 29-day streak is going to be in the winter. Hopefully we'll have some awesome viewing during the dry season. Also, it's just a little bit easier to track them during the dry season than it is at the moment. So guys, we're going to have one last look here, and then we're going to make space for another vehicle who's coming in, and we're going to head on and see what else we can find on this very windy and chilly morning. Leaving Taxon and Orbs with Tingana and Thandi, Johan making his way. Bye-bye, kitties. We'll see you later. We might try to sneak back in here a little bit later, depending on vehicle movements and whatnot. Okay, we're going to try and sneak our way through here. There's one last view of Thandi, the loved one. There she is, looking very upset that her love life has been interrupted by a meal. So she's going to have a snooze. Okay. Bye-bye, madam. Now we're going to try to find our way out of this thicket. Which is sometimes easier said than done. So while we do that, let's jump back on board with Sam.
Here we are, guys. I'm just going to keep my voice down, as I know that these impala are extremely skittish at the moment. You see the bird over there? I think that's those some hornbills. We saw the hornbills a bit earlier. So I know that for my viewers, we're doing a bird list, but we saw the red hornbill yesterday. And we'll see if we can find the yellow one. But at the moment, let's have a look. Can you guys see these two male impala that are clashing horns together? So as I said earlier, that it's been, the wind makes them very, very skittish. So I'm actually at quite a distance at the moment, so we're just watching them, from far away. And you can see the two males that are bumping horns against each other there. Wow. Now this is a really, really special time to be in the bush when it comes to impala. As I'm sure you guys know, that impala are extremely efficient, and they've done so well over thousands of years to be here, and they've just, their way of life, their structure, their social structure is very efficient. Even their breeding habits, and having the breeding time in November when the best time for rainfall. They're just a very clever design, the impala. And just while we're sitting with them, this is otherwise known as a bachelor herd. So you'll see that every single impala out there actually has horns, from what I can see from the distance. But what's interesting about this time of year is otherwise known as the rutting season. So the rutting season starts between April and May, and you'll start to see, as you drive around the Swabi Sands, many of the males clashing horns and fighting, and this is to prep them, to get them stronger, and to get their dominance a little bit bigger in their bachelor herds. And soon after the bachelor herds, it then goes to, we've got a Crested Franklin that just jumped past the road here. The Crested Franklin. We've seen the Crested Franklin. I think he's just gone into the thicket there. Can you see him? Oh, there he is. Sweet. You can tell it's a Crested Franklin because of that white little strip above its eye. Also, as I said yesterday, it has a very remarkable alarm call. But let's just go back to the impala. There's zebras. You see the zebras? Wow. I have not seen that before. I have never seen that before. What is going on? What is going on? So that's a first time view, everyone, for me to see zebra, impala in one scene. This is incredible. Classic bushveld sight to watch more than one animal in the picture. Often, also during these windy times, you'll often find that the herbivores come into the open areas to protect themselves a bit better. They can't hear the predators in the thick bushveld out here, so they come in their numbers, they come together, and that just means more eyes out there that help them protect in this windy time. But let's just stick on these beautiful looking zebra. Let's have a look and see what they're doing. I used to tell zebra by understanding whether it was a male or a female by the strip of black at the back. But from this distance, I can't quite tell, which is which. Do you know, Jandre?
Both males.
I think they're both males. But it's we've seen some great interactions this morning. With the hyenas. Had a social interaction with lions yesterday, and now we're sitting with the zebra. Very, very social together. And those remarkable stripes, the black and white stripes. I used to think, wow, I can easily see you out in the bushveld with those black and white stripes. But it's actually a very interesting, adaptation to the environment. It helps them when they, of course they call it dazzle when there's more than one. So this is actually, we have a dazzle of zebra over here. The wind's really starting to blow, everyone. It's quite remarkable, actually. As I was saying, zebra extremely interesting. That it's like disruptive. So when they're running away from a predator, it's much difficult for the predator to catch them with that coloration that they have. It's very, very important adaptation for them. But I've had some amazing experiences with zebra on foot, where I once was just sitting out on a pan and a whole dazzle of zebra just walked past me, and I was just watching and looking at them and looking at their manes, and they really are remarkable creatures. My sister used to have a horse, and I used to really enjoy watching the horses, and so to now be with some zebra out in the bushvelds is great. And this interaction is remarkable. I hope you guys are all enjoying this. It's great to watch. guys, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer to the zebra. Remember, it's going quite quietly as it's quite windy and they're all going to be quite skittish of us. So it's important for us to be very aware of what is going on. We can see a starling over there. That's something that we can add to our list. Chandra is going to get a close-up. 3 types of starlings in the area, but we'll see if we can get a bit closer. The Birchall's starling, Cape glossy-eyed starling, and the greater blue-eared. Not quite sure which one it is. We know it's a Cape if it's got a yellow eye. Can't quite see it at the moment. The Birchall's starling is much bigger. My guess is that it's either Cape glossy-eye, the greater blue-eared. I just want to get closer to these zebras as they're an amazing sighting. We've got some hornbills. All the birds are coming out, guys. I really want to go and watch these zebras. They're really, really fascinating me. Can you see how these impala are? If you have a look, they're just staring at me. I'm going to go very, very slowly. Hi Megan, yes, that's what I was really quite interested in, is they did look quite painful. And I'm not quite sure why they were doing it. It's fascinating behavior. So I'm just going to sneak into the zebras here. And here we go, let's watch them. I'm going to switch off. Notice that they're very, very aware of us at the moment. So I'm going to keep my voice down as much as possible. I hope that you can hear me out there. Please, Rebecca, let me know if it's too soft. Thanks, Rebecca. I'm apparently loud and clear. But look at these remarkable animals here. See the tail flicking from side to side. That's often to do with flies that often irritate them. You see their bodies shaking like that. It's also... There's a bird on them. Did it just fly off? It would have been the oxpecker. It was the oxpecker. Amazing, guys. So we've seen a starling and we've seen an oxpecker this morning, but sitting with these zebras, it's really, really quite interesting. You can see that they're quite young stallions. As I said a bit earlier, you'll often find the zebra and the impala and giraffes that will be in these big open areas. Yeah. Yana just asked if this is dominant male behavior, and quite what we've been seeing with the impala, and they're clashing with the horns here in the bachelor herd. I think it might be a very similar behavior between two males to develop their dominance, and as I said earlier, it's the same with hyenas and many other animals of the bush, is that they will play with each other to get stronger, to develop the claws that they need, and to grow into a stronger, more majestic animal. So my prediction is that these are two males that are exerting some dominance with each other to try and help grow and foster their development into the future. It's so cool to look at that dazzle and look at the two black and white stripes, white with black stripes or black with white stripes. I'm not quite sure, but as you can see, they're feeding. What's really quite interesting with wildebeest and and zebra. So we're just going to Megan's question quickly. It's the interesting line patterns on the top of the right zebra. I see what you're saying there, Megan. I can also see that. That really is quite remarkable. Different coloration of brown and black and white, and then it's quite squiggly on the back legs. Wow, that is really interesting, eh, Meg? But what I was just saying a little bit earlier, just going back to that, the way in which you get successive grazing. So successive grazing means that the animals in the ecosystem are all going to eat much differently, and they'll basically, like wildebeest like to eat the much shorter grass, and the zebra like to eat the longer grass. So it's actually really good for an ecosystem when you have grazers that are eating the different lengths of grass, because it helps the development of the grass, and it helps with the nutrition and fostering more seed dispersal around the area to create a more diverse, resilient ecosystem. So it's great to watch all these animals and understand the way in which their eating behaviors are and their social behavior, and that's all that we're seeing here. You can see that the zebra now are starting to eat. Aqua asked a very, very interesting question, and it states that the impala are. We're going to quickly, Genre, do you mind just going and having a look at one of the impala just in front of us? Aqua was asking, from a biomimicry perspective, which just to tell the viewers what biomimicry is. Biomimicry is basically understanding, the natural world and the genius of the natural world. Everything has been here for over 3.8 billion years, and so over time, plants, animals have adapted to their landscapes in order to thrive and survive. So biomimicry is essentially learning from the ecosystem or from a specific plant or organism and applying it to human systems to make our systems more efficient. A very quick example that I'll make is with a sunflower or with any type of tree. How is a tree fostering its energy from the sun? By collecting different aspects of the sun to absorb energy. Normally our solar panels, if you have a solar panel on top of your roof, Aqua, you'll notice that it'll just take in one aspect, whereas the natural world is taking in many, many different aspects. So that is going to create an efficiency of sunlight, and obviously that'll help with more energy. So just taking biomimicry to the level of the impala, this is genuinely what gets me so excited about being out in the bushveld and applying the knowledge that I've learned over my degrees and studying biomimicry is looking at this. And I mean, if we look at the adaptation of the impala to its landscape, you can see the way in which it has a different coloration between the bottom of the impala and the top, and that actually helps them blend into this environment a little bit better. So from a point of view of blending things in, we can learn how animals like the impala are blending themselves into the environment to make them, from a survival technique, that's really important. But if you're going through to any other design aspects, I mean, we can look at anything from the horns to the way in which the ears move to collect sound, to understand how they work in their ecosystem. I mean, Aqua, it's a very interesting question, because with biomimicry you don't have to only go to the actual design aspect. You can go into the behavior aspect and how they are working as a social organization, how they are efficient in their social organization, which can be learnt within business even. How can businesses even learn to adopt strategies that impala have that help them to become more efficient as a species out in the wilderness? These sorts of theories and questions are becoming more relevant in our time, because as I said a little bit earlier, the natural world has been here for a lot longer than us, and that's what really inspires me and gets me up every morning. Is I want to, my biggest mentor in life is the natural world, and So it's incredible. So thanks so much for allowing me to talk about that. We're going to go back to Brent and see how Brent's doing out there. In the meanwhile, I'm going to continue on this road. Thank you all for that great sighting with the zebra and the impala, and we'll have some more discussions a bit later. Cheers for now.
Welcome back to the shivering vehicle. We are shivering in search of the Nkuhuma Pride. We checked their last position from last night. Looks like their tracks go north into the block. We're going to do a loop around here. So not only are we shivering in anticipation of finding lions, we're actually shivering from the cold this morning. Brian got it a bit worse than I did. Sliding around, he got a wet bottom, which is of course very uncomfortable. But he's a tough guy. He'll survive. Me, I wouldn't survive. I'd be most unpleasant. I really don't like being cold. Just checking carefully. The only tracks we've seen along here is a herd of wildebeest came strolling down and some buffalo bulls. Now, I'm not sure, because I was very fast asleep. We had quite a long day yesterday, traveling up mountains and whatnot. So, I'm not sure when this weather set in last night. The stars were still out when I went to bed. So, it could have been a very successful night of hunting for the Nkuhuma Pride if it was dark and windy. So, those are the best nights for the cats in terms of hunting. So while we're in search of lions, let's chat about another pride we actually saw for a few days called the Tsalala Pride. Now, they came up here during the upheaval that was the coalition takeover of the Birmingham boys, and what happened was the Birminghams pushed the Matimba males down to the south, and that caused a lot of lions to pop up in places they're not normally seen. And one of those was the Tsalala Pride. And Christopher is wondering if anyone knows the location of the Tsalala Pride. Christopher, I'm quite sure they're somewhere down around the Sand River, which is their normal home range. And it was quite unusual for us to have them where we did, all the way up here in the north. They sometimes come to the northern boundary of Gondolezi and the northern Sabi Sands, but it is uncommon. So we're probably not going to see them too frequently. The three main prides in the north are the Nkuhumas, who we're searching for now, the Sticks, and then further to the north in Buffelshoek, the Talamatis, and very occasionally the Mangen, which is the Tsalala breakaways, or the Tsalalas will come in, but not really hang around too much. Now the Nkuhumas really favour this block here. We've had them in there many times, and we've actually watched them hunt in there a few times, but it is also quite a challenging block in terms of monkey orange thickets. But we are hoping that they haven't crossed over this road we're driving on at the moment, because this is the northern edge of our traverse. So we're just doing a big loop, a slow loop, checking for tracks around. Thank you to Marianne and many others. It would be quite wonderful. They said they're sending us a virtual cup of hot chocolate. Unfortunately, that would be very, very pleasant. Ooh, what's been going on here? I think it is elephants, but let's just, yes, it's elephants. You can see all the tracks, broken branches on the road. Now, what we would do for a virtual or for a non-virtual cup of hot chocolate, Brian, what would you do?
I would sing a song very loudly.
You would sing a song very loudly. Should we try and make James get out of bed and bring us up? Well, that probably wouldn't go down well.
I think we should try anyways.
Should we try anyways, yes. Maybe we should ask James if he can come out with a nice flask of hot chocolate for us.
And then we'll serenade him with a song.
Yes. Brian will serenade him. I will sit meekly, because if I start singing or serenading, well, there will be no serenading. There will be much gnawing and gnashing of teeth and scraping of fingernails across blackboards, because that's probably the closest description to my singing voice I can come up with. Wailing and gnashing of teeth, I actually think, is the phrase.
Like a banshee.
Like a banshee, yes. Chris Rogue is on form, said from the killer bees to the chiller bees today. Yes, we're definitely chilly bees today. Hello. What is going on here? No. It is the hyenas. Now the Inkahumas and Karula are two animals here that have mastered the art of flying across roads. We're not sure how, but they definitely managed to fly at some point, leaving their tracks a complete mystery. Of course, is one of my favorite things to do, and tracking big cats is especially one of my favorite things to do. And a lot of you are wondering, is it difficult to... Oh, there you went my hat. Speaking of the wind, track in this wind. Tracking itself is not so bad. If we actually walk tracking, it is a little bit more difficult. You just got to be a lot more careful when you're walking, because this wind is so constantly shifting and changing direction, so you can surprise an animal. And it's generally not the lion so much that you're worried about in this wind. It is one of those beasties. And particularly, I think that one, he just looks morbid. And now, in this strong wind like that, these guys are going to be particularly jumpy, because, of course, it is great weather for the lions. And you can see, just listening to our voice, he's not sure what's on, and there we go, he's figured out where we are. And on foot, sometimes you don't hear them as easily, because often you find buffalo by hearing them, but in this wind they're going to be bedded down, not moving, and quite often in some thick areas. So it is a little bit more dangerous to track in the wind. But that makes it a little bit more exciting, gets that heart rate up. Now also the wind, what the wind does affect in tracking is sometimes it can be very difficult to age track, especially on a busy road, because the wind can blow those edges so it looks like the tracks might be older than they are. But that slight little bit of rain we had this morning, if there's any tracks moving around above that, it will be very easy to see. But the ones below it, with the wind and rain, are going to be more difficult to see. Now, for example, I think this is probably from yesterday morning, but you can barely see the track with a little bit of drizzle on it and the rain and vehicles. You see it, Brian? Just look at the monitor. There, where? On the edge there, I think. There. Now that is Karula's tracks. And you can see how there's no defined edges. The wind has blown those and it's got that fine layer of drizzle on. So it can actually make tracks quite difficult to see. The other thing is obviously light. especially the best time for tracking is in the early morning, late afternoon. So when the angle of the sun actually throws a shadow on the track. So of course, tracking in this, you're not seeing any shadow, so it does make it a little bit more difficult. But it's a good thing. We like a challenge. So another new viewer, great to have you on board, Austin, who's in Derbyshire. Oh, Derbyshire, it sounds very fancy. Austin would like to know, what the heck is an Nkahuma? Well, Austin, in Nkahuma is actually a brown ivory tree. So we're tracking a tree at the moment. It is a very big, beautiful tree, but it does be known to move occasionally. No, Austin, I'm only joking. The Nkahuma is actually a brown ivory tree, but it is the name given to the pride of lions we see most often. So the first time they were found was by the Djuma guides, and they were sleeping under a brown ivory tree, and that's how the pride got its name, the Nkahuma pride, the brown ivory pride. So while we continue to look for these lion tracks, or should I say shiver for these lion tracks, let's jump back on with Sam, who's in an area that's got a lot of general game.
Here we are, everyone, by a collective noun. So I know what the collective noun is for a group of giraffe. If you want to tell me what it is, please can you email Safari Live or Twitter and hashtag Safari Live. What do you think the collective noun of giraffe is? But here, this is a spectacular sighting. You know, earlier I said that this was a bushveld sighting when we were sitting with some impala and some zebra. Now we are in the car with not only giraffe, but now you can see some impala, and just to the left of us we can see some zebra, just like we saw a little bit earlier. So it's the zebra over there, and we can see some waterbuck. We can tell that they are waterbuck because of the big circles at the above, but you can't see that right now. I'll bring that back up when I think one of them will stand. But there are some impressive looking horns out there as well. Can you see those genre? Yeah, there we go. Look at those beautiful male horns there. Very, very dominant male, just sitting by the watering hole. So this is a classic scene from the bushveld, where, you know, as I said earlier, you'll often find that they'll come into the open areas. It's much safer during the times of wind, and you can just see them all clumped here together, protecting, using the bushveld and having the eyes with the giraffe. If we could just move towards the giraffes over there, you can see that they're eating, and their eyes are very high up. So I'm sure the other animals are extremely grateful to the giraffe as they have their eyes looking around the bushveld for them, to see if they have any predators. And you can see they're all feeding there. There's a sweet little youngster. Oh man. I think this is also a first for me with giraffes and Safari Live. Incredible creatures. Definitely one of my favorites. The design of the giraffe is incredible, and everything from a biomimicry point of view, understanding the way in which giraffes are, their necks, the way their tongues are incredible. Just from the saliva that they have, that giraffes have, are very interesting as a lubricant. They've actually mimicked the way in which the saliva of the giraffe within mechanics as a salivation, because they've got such very liquidy, or what's the word for mechanized things? I've just gone blank.
Viscous.
What's that?
Viscous.
Yeah, I've just gone blank. I'll come back to that. But here you can see some oxpeckers on the giraffe, and then they'll pull with their tongue, even if it's an acacia, and pull all the leaves off. Can you guys just imagine for a second using your tongue around an acacia plant? I'll show you an acacia plant a little bit later. It's very, very thorny, so it looks like it would be very painful. But what they actually do is they have their blood vessels are very, yes. Sorry, Robin, thank you, Kirst and John and Mike. It is a journey of giraffe. Thank you very much for bringing that up. But just going back to the tongue of a giraffe, you'll find that they're black because their blood vessels are deep, deep inside of the tongue, so that when when the thorns go through, they actually don't create bleeding. So it's a very, very, very interesting adaptation that the giraffe have created. And they're one of the, if not the largest mammal on the planet. And look at them. You can tell that they're females and males by looking at the ossicles on top of their head. And if the ossicles are quite furry, we can tell that they are females. And if they're not, if they look like they don't have the fur on top of the ossicle on top there, then it is a male. And the reason why they have these, for the males, the females don't really use those little horns on top of their head, which you can just see behind the plants there, is for fighting. You know, they use it in dominance, and you'll start seeing, like, it's incredible to watch when you see two giraffes having a fight, or not a fight, just doing some dominance, and they'll swing their necks and hit the other giraffe with their ossicles. It's an extremely interesting behavior to watch, and it looks quite painful generally, very, very, very painful. But as you'll notice, sometimes with giraffe, which is, you know, as you can see, it's a female with a youngster there, and often with a female and its youngster, the mother will actually go out into the bush away from the youngster sometimes, because as you can see, they can be seen from a long way away, and it can actually draw in the predators when you see the large mother walking around. But just have a look at this huge giraffe coming in here. Wow, that is a big giraffe. Oh, check out, he has to bend down to get some of the plant material. Aren't you a very large chap? Yeah, Mac, there is a very, very significant size difference between all those giraffes. And as our friends a little bit earlier told us, that it is a journey of giraffes. I'm actually not quite sure why they call it a journey. Maybe it's, I just know it's a journey. I wouldn't be able to tell you why it's called a journey. Maybe they go on long distance travels together. But wow, it's incredible to look at the size of that one. It's significant. And you know, often you can tell the difference between a male and a female through the coloration of a female and a male. The males can be much, much darker than the females. So we can see the tall one that just came in is a very, very significant looking male. And you can also tell by his horns that he doesn't have much fur there, so that is definitely a male. And it's an incredible sighting to watch at the same time, a journey of giraffe all drinking. I don't know if you guys have seen that before. It's amazing how they have to like push their whole leg. You see those legs, those dwindly legs, and to get their head down to the water, they have to spread their legs out, and then they drop their head down towards the watering hole to drink. And it's exceptionally hard. And can you imagine the amount of blood flow that has to, that goes down towards the head when they go down for a sip of water? So they've actually got a very, very interesting adaptation to that, where they have almost like it fills up with blood just at the back of their head. So when I've forgotten the name of it, so if anyone knows the name of it, please hashtag Safari Live and tweet it in what the name of the it's almost like a what do you call a sponge at the back of their head that will soak up all the blood while it's drinking the water, because if you can imagine, it would make us pop. But we're just going to move ahead quickly, just because we have a vehicle just ahead of us, so I'm just going to get off road quickly. It is windy. It's a windy day out here in the Sabi Sands. You can see that the clouds are still very significant in the sky there, which gave us a good little drizzle a little bit earlier. But Genre, if we can just go back towards the watering hole and just see what we've got going in this mix, the big mix. While we're doing that, I'm just going to quickly write in my book one of the birds we just saw, where we had now, which was the barn swallow. I'm just going to write that down quickly to our list. Over here. Ooh, there we go. Barn swallow. Awesome, guys. Our bird list is ticking on. I'm up to 5 birds now in the bushveld. I'm just going back towards these zebra. You can see the dam is looking full. When I was last year, I told you it was very, very, the watering hole was very, very, it was very dry. And to see the water coming up is great news for the bushveld. The animals are going to take in this green, lush grass that's around it and drink some good water before the dry winter comes. The winter is in the winter months here in the Sabi Sands, so they're probably going to be taking in as much nutrition with this rainfall as they can. Significantly more greener here. So I can just feel that these zebra are taking full advantage of this green pasture basically out here. And in the distance there, you can see those nests. Can you see those nests in the distance there, everyone? Those are, if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that they are red-billed buffalo weaver nests. So, I think from this distance, that is a very difficult thing to see. If there is a red-billed buffalo weaver over there, and so we're not gonna off-road at all, as it's full birds. So we'll have to see the red-billed buffalo weaver at a later stage. But yeah, they also what's that just behind there? Is that a hippo?
I think it's waterbuck.
Wait, so I'm sorry, it's a waterbuck. In the distance there, I thought that was a hippo going into the water there, which would have been quite exciting. But look at that target. Can you guys see that perfectly round on the back of the waterbuck? That is a significant way in which you can tell that is a waterbuck from the back. And some people have many different theories around why that there is a circle on the bum. The most common theory is that it's to help with the youngsters to follow each other. It's almost like a signal, much like the warthog, which sticks up its tail to help the young piglets follow the warthog. It's much the same with the waterbuck that helps them follow each other when they are running through the bushveld, potentially running away from predators. It helps the youngsters stick with the mother when they are out there. So this has been a spectacular sighting, guys. To be back out here in the Sabi Sands, the winds are blowing. I wish you could all feel the wind blowing while I look over the savannah with the barn swallows just slowly eating on some of the insects, and the zebra that have been giving us some extremely interesting activity, to the impala that were rutting earlier, the males with their big males that are coming into their bachelor herds. It's all going down here in the bushveld. But with that, I'm going to carry on, and let's not forget the beautiful giraffe, which have been a spectacular sighting this morning. Just going to get back onto the road. Over here, Genre, can you see the starling that's on this piece of wood? right. So that's definitely a starling. You can tell that that's a starling because of the... Yeah, you can tell that those are starlings because of the iridescence on them. But we can quite clearly see that there's no yellow eye on that starling. So that's going to tell us that it's not a... Oh, hold on. Is there a yellow eye there? No. So we can quite clearly see that that is not... Ooh. I'm just going to get my bird book out. We're going to have a look at the different starlings. And we can work it out together. I haven't been with starlings for quite some time. So it'll just be important for me to have a look. Starling. Two, 276. Oh, the Birchall starling. So you can quite significantly see if you come towards that book, towards the book here, thanks Chandra, in a number of different starlings. This is the Birchall starling, which is a much bigger starling than the other ones. And you have the Cape Glossy starling and the greater blue-eared starling. So I'm going to say that that is a Birchall starling because there is no coloration in the eye between those two that I noticed. Did you notice that, Chandra? Right, so we can write that onto our list. This is all very exciting. I'm going to write that on my list right now. Starling, Birchall starling. And one thing that I want to just bring you guys back to, I don't know if you guys were on my interview drives. Ooh, watch them play, that's great. Guys, I must say that we've really had some cool sightings this morning. You know, I was nervous again coming out on drive. Great shot, Chandra. Amazing shots there. But this device, I don't know if any of you guys were there when I introduced you to it, but it makes the sound of the bird that we just saw. And this is what's going to make it so exciting for us to learn out here in the bushveld, because not only are we going to learn the names of the birds, but you can actually learn the sound, the bird call, and have a bit more of a holistic experience to understanding the birds out in the savannah. So that is quite clearly not a Birchall starling. That was a African fish eagle. So that was the sound. Okay, yeah. So that is something that we've always got to be quite aware of, is to not play the sound calls when you're too close to the birds, because it can be quite distracting for the birds, and from an ethical point of view, it's not very good. So I think I might have been a little bit too close doing that with the birds. So I'm going to try and keep a distance every single time I do that. But it is incredibly interesting to listen to the sound of the bird while looking at them at the same time. So with that, we're going to be linking back to Brent. Thanks everyone, it's been a very exceptional sighting out here. See you now.
Hello. The Inkahumas have flown. We're not sure where they've taken off. I can't find any tracks. I saw one track sort of going north into that block, nothing coming out. But then also we saw quite a lot of animals just lying around in that block. There have been some big herds of ellies around that might have obliterated tracks. And speaking of big ellies, we're in search of the naughty elephant. I saw him this morning just outside the camp, one with a big hole in his ear. And maybe he's moved out onto the vast open plain of quarantine. And he's been here. There's sign, broken branches, big footprints. We're on the right trail. I wonder if he's still in must. I don't think so. And I had a quick look at him as we drove past this morning in the darkness. Didn't notice too much wetness around his legs. I wonder where he's gone. He's quite big, so hard to miss out in the open. Now, there you go. Hello, birds. Oh, goodbye, birds. And a flock of red-billed buffalo weavers. Now, they're probably the tech department's least favorite bird. They are fantastic builders, and they build impressive communal nests out of big thorns and sticks. And that provides the tech department with some challenges when they decide to climb a tower like that one. Now, that is one of our towers, and have a look. That is a massive thorns that has been put there by the buffalo weavers. So, of course, tech department's not a big fan of them. So, we removed the nests outside of breeding season. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Standing by. Copy, thanks, Chris. It's Aubrey's Road, just off the fire break from Bubbles of Cutline. You'll see the tracks, it's very distinct. So there's 2 sets of tracks that go off Aubrey's Road. It's the one furthest to the north. So just letting Corvus know that where the hyena den is. And as we're saying, yes, so we removed those nests during the non-breeding season, but they literally put them back as fast as you can take them out. Very, very amusing for us not in the tech department. Oh, and look at those poor shivering impalas. They look how I feel at the moment. Oh, the wind's getting stronger. Now, there's one who is particularly cold. I think if I was an impala, well, it's a female though, that would be me. Now, you just see how red she is compared to the rest. She's extended her fur up as much as possible and trying to get that insulative blanket of warm air around her. As you can see, a lot of their tails are swishing, and Megan is wondering how much energy does it take to constantly swish their tail. Megan, I'd be lying if I could give you an exact number. I'm not sure. I think it'll be almost instinctive reaction based on nerves, so it will just happen. Oh, look at all those low-flying swallows that are coming right next to the ground through the impalas. I can't really see which species. Actually looks like it could be a European swallow. So some of them haven't migrated all the way back to Europe yet. Doing some last minute gorging on bugs before. What have you spotted around? No, just the impalas again. So you can see quite a lot of impalas. They're not moving about too much in this weather. I'm trying to stay on the nice open areas of quarantine where it's a bit safe in this wind. Bye-bye, impalas. Yeah, so just away from the big herd, we have the boys with... Oh, I think this could be a new bird for a lot of people if we can get him. Where'd he go? Where did he go? I think this might even be a new bird for me on Djuma. Come on, come on, come on. Where did you go? Where did you go? There he is on the outside. Where's he going? After him, Brian. Let's get a safety shot from a distance. Wow, look at that. That is definitely a new one for me on Djuma. And definitely, I think, a new one for a lot of you. And he's got a kill. Now, let's see how good the bird is before I give it away. What bird is that? That is definitely not one I have seen on the live drives. What has he got in his beak? Oh, and the starling is trying to chase him to steal it. Naughty starling. We're trying to look at a new bird here. Oh, the starling's chasing him again and again. Don't worry, we're on the hunt. There he goes. We're with him, Brian.
Yep.
Where's he going? Where's he going? Is he gone? Oh dear. Oh. I think he's in that marua somewhere. Unless he used it to mask his escape from the starling. Anyway, so who knows what bird that was? I don't think Brian knows what bird that was, so I'm pretty sure that's a really nice new species for lots of people out there. So if you know what bird that is, pop an email to questions@WildEarthTV to let me know, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now, we did have a reasonably good view of him there for a while, but remember to look at his beak. That's the hint, the beak. It's got a hook. Oh, I lost my ears. Maybe we'll try one last little nonchalant reverse so he doesn't think we're looking for him. There he goes. Ah, I got him. There we go. Aha, the nonchalant reverse worked a treat. Oh, maybe. And off he goes again. There we go. We did manage to get... Female. In distress. Being chased by the male. Oh, you lost him. You lost her. She left. Oh, he's going to come back. And there's going to be some other males on the way there. He might just chase them for the sake of chasing. Ah, there we go. Get away from my ladies. Female coming back at speed, Brian. Now, will the boys with no girlfriends take advantage of a lone lass away from the herd? They're looking. Let's try to go a bit forward to see where she went. So this ties in quite nicely. Siberia is asking, what age do impala males start competing for the rut? Oh, she's on the move again. Will the boys? Oh, some of the boys are jogging in her general direction. But she is returning back to the herd. And back in amongst the females. So there we go. So we've got quite a few rams sitting here on the edge, and you can see the different horn sizes. So those guys, most of those guys in front of us are about 2 years old. That's going to be about 3 when they start competing for the rat. So next year, these guys are still way too young to think about it. But the guy to the right, he's in competition. And now it's a constant ebb and change quite often with impala herds. One of the ways they ensure good genetic diversity amongst the herd is that one male will mate with quite a few of the females, and then he'll get so tired and so skinny from chasing and keeping all the other males away, the next male sort of slips in and he falls into the bachelor group. And outside of the ratting season, they actually don't really mind too much who's with the girls and who's not, because there's no mating happening. So very well done to Bridget and Judy. Now I'm pretty sure this is going to be a nice new species for quite a few of you, and it was indeed the lesser grey shrike. There we go. Now, and that was a beautiful shot, especially in this weather. We could even see that sort of salmony pink, which doesn't really come out in this picture there, that is underneath the lesser grey shrike, and it only really has that coloration at this time of the year. So, the fresh plumage. There we go. A very nice bird, and definitely not one we've seen too many of. I'm trying to think. Brian, have you ever seen one of those on a live drive?
No, I don't think so.
No, there we go. Brian hasn't seen one. Now, branches are falling out of the trees around us. So, there was someone who said Sousa's shrike, and you can see quite different coloration. And also, he only lives up in Namibia and Botswana and Angola. So, unlikely to get the Sousa's shrike here. The one that he's probably sometimes most... Oh no, I'm pushing the wrong buttons, that's why. Easily confused for is probably the common fiscal, which we don't get here as well. That's a middle-felt species. The redback shrike, if you see a juvenile, a lesser grey, you can sometimes get confused, but the lesser grey is quite a lot bigger. And if we look at the distribution, so it's only around, it's not around all months of the year, and he's going to be moving off. And you can see that dark blue part is where they're more commonly. So they're not as common down here. We're down just above Swaziland there. So you go in search of elephants and lions and you find lesser grey shrike and a very, very excitable male impala. Male impala reminds me of James when he sees a pudding. He really does love his puddings. Aqua says every time I say impalalas, and I know that's not the real name, it's just a nickname I think we had for them when we were kids. And Aqua says she immediately gets hungry because she thinks of what? Enchiladas. So I do apologize for affecting your empanadas. So I do apologize for affecting your eating habits, Aqua. I'll try not to do it too much. Aha. Now, this is very bad butterfly weather, but we have found a butterfly. You see him, right?
Yeah.
And that poor butterfly is hanging on for dear life in this gusting wind. Now, it is the butterfly we've been talking about quite a bit over the last week because we found the instar larval stage of it. It is an African vagrant. And it is busy hanging to a Chinese lantern tree or a sickle bush. And you can see a pollinated flower next to that butterfly. And you can see it's very white on top. And it's amazing. A lot of insects see color. So you can see that white is telling the insects that that flower is done. It has been pollinated. No need to come and search. So the bright pink one, there's a bright pink one, there should be a few there. They're always hiding behind, there we go, hiding behind slightly, is signaling to the insects that yes, I'm ready for pollination, come find me. Okay. Goodbye, Mr. Vagrant. Hopefully the sun will be up shortly and you'll be able to continue in your search of nectar. I think we need to get hot water bottles for winter, Brian.
Definitely.
Now, when I was guiding, there was a guide whose name I'm not going to mention, used to take a hot water bottle every game drive. I used to take one occasionally, but not every game drive. And he had a favorite hot water bottle. I think it was from his childhood. And we all warned him, that you should really replace your hot water bottles once a year if you use them regularly. And he did not listen. He's like, no, it'll be fine. I love this hot water bottle. And he actually burnt himself quite badly. He was on game drive and he was sitting in his lap and he was talking to his guests. And he turned to say something and the thing burst open all over his leg. We, of course, being other safari guides, thought this was probably the funniest thing that happened the whole year. Although he did injure himself quite bad. Oh, another nice, interesting bird. I'm just going to wait for it to land. We'll get a safety shot from a distance. You get it there, Brian. I think it was a bit lower. Oh, where'd he go? Okay, has he come out? Okay. And there, you can see his big black tail. There. A paradise wider. Very pretty bird. I'm going to try and get us a little bit closer. Now, we have seen a few of them, but they haven't been that common this year. Now, they're almost impossible to tell when they're outside of their breeding plumage. Don't fly! Oh, silly birds. Now, everything's a little bit nervous in the wind. Whoa, he's got it. Brian's got it. There we go. Look at that massive tail. Now, for most of the year, he doesn't have that tail, which makes him very hard to distinguish from other widers. And he only has that tail to impress ladies, and only for that time of year. And it is a long-tailed paradise wider. And a bit of a difficult thing up there. So if we have a look, here we go. So there's the breeding male when he's in breeding plumage like he is now, and that's what he looks like outside of breeding plumage, and he doesn't have that massively long tail. So all that to impress the ladies, and the ladies are quite dull and grey, which is quite common in bird species. But speaking of birds, it seems like Sam's got some other birds for you as well.
Coo-wee, coo-wee. We have a grey lory, everyone. I've just been told by Brent that you saw the paradise flycatcher, the paradise wider. That's a beautiful bird to see, and what we have in front of us right now is the grey lory. It's a beautiful bird, and it's often a bird that you'll hear when you're tracking out in the bushveld and you're on foot, and you'll just hear this bird go away. Can't really do that well, but it's go away. So that's the grey lory, and I'll put a little picture here of the grey lory, otherwise Chirico, over here. So it has that very distinctive grey tuft at the top there. The reason why I have OKD there is also being seen in the Okavango Delta, and it's a beautiful bird. It's really incredible. The Chiricos, or otherwise Lory, are some of the most magnificent looking birds in the bushvelds. Where I was last year over here is the Meisner Chirico. It's a phenomenal bird. You can find that up in Hogsback in South Africa, which I would guess is probably around over there. Yeah, so it shows you the area that it's in, and you can go into the Meisner forests where apparently there are Meisner elephants there, and you can find the Meisner Chirico. And yes, it's incredible. I've actually been part of a regeneration project of the indigenous species of trees that the grey lory would normally go to, because it's not the grey lory, so the Meisner Chirico. So, with trees are very connected to the birds that go there. So it's an extremely beautiful bird to come across. And of course I saw the purple crested Chirico when I was at Londolozi. It's a beautiful bird that makes a very, very significant sound, and I think it should be fine to play that bird call. Do you think? It's not like it's here. So where is that little device of mine? There we go. Yeah, it's quite annoying that sometimes every time I play it, I've got the sound of the king. Actually, it's not annoying, it's beautiful. I love the sound of the fish eagle. It's my favorite bird call. But this is the purple-crested churico. So that was the purple-crested churico. It's a very significant sound. You can often hear those at the top of some timbuti thickets when you go into the bushveld. And it's always a very, it gets me very excited when I hear that. Both that and the black-headed oriole. Hopefully, we're going to have some time to see the black-headed oriole. But just to go back to the giraffes that we were seeing earlier, we can't see them now because they've gone a little bit into the bushes there. But yes, me and Jean-Ray were having quite a laugh during this almost like a storm out here. I've never really seen wind blowing at such a pace out here, and the clouds are moving very rapidly. It's an ominous and an extremely interesting environment. But during this little bit of a storm, we've been watching the giraffes having a very interesting encounter with one another. So they were trying to mate. The male was getting very close to the female, sniffing her and quite literally following her wherever she goes. And never in my life have I ever been able to see, or have I seen, a male giraffe mating a female. And so that would be an amazing thing to see. So I'm just going to continue in this direction a little bit to see if we can see some excitement within mating giraffe. Errol just asked a fantastic question, which was, are lions more successful when it is windy like this? And, you know, I can only say yes. You can imagine that the antelope and the other species, the other mammals, are very confused with smells. They can't smell the predators as easily. If it's obviously upwind, they can smell it. But the wind confuses them dramatically. So I can only imagine that the lions are feeding right now. I would love to know where the Nkuhubu pride is and to see if they've actually killed something. That would be amazing to find out. So that's a very important fact, that the wind is making everyone quite nervous out here. Little zebra going through. You can see the coloration in the as the zebra is walking through the bushveld here. We can see how that coloration helps him to mingle in and become more into that bushveld with the trees and the thicket there. Helps him, camouflage a little bit better in those thickets. But we've got a very big impala herd over here. Mostly females. When you have, it's called a harem of when there's one male and a whole bunch of females. So, and that helps with genetic diversity. And so I'm just trying to see if I can find the male. Genre, can you help me? See if you can find the male, or if it's just the females.
Yep, it's on the right.
Whereabouts?
It's through the thicket to go forward.
So we found the male. It's just in the thicket to the right.
Look forward.
Look forward.
Forward. Yeah, that's it.
There we go. We have our male just over there. You see one male and many different females. I'm just going to go onto the book where the impala is. Would you confirm with me, please, Rebecca, if it's Linda that was asking about the what age can they start having? Ooh, Linda, yes. What age can they start having children? And I'm actually not sure about that. Let's have a look in the book. I'm very interested to find out at the same time. Impala. Impala 84. Here we go. We have the Impala, otherwise known as the Episcurus melimpus. So the gestation period is around 6.5 months to have that. So it's 6.5 months. Between September and January is when they have a single lamb is born from September to January after a gestation period, which is really interesting because that is like a perfect time for the rains. So when the rains are coming, it gives the impala the best chance to survive because there's new grass roots that are coming through. And you can imagine all of them are born at the same time, so they flood the markets with the impalas and make it much easier for them to survive out here in the bushveld. The question was that whether what age it is that they can start having youngsters, the females, and I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to guess around 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years, that they can start breeding with the males. So that's a great question, Linda. I'm going to look it up when I get back. Guys, it's been an incredible morning out here in the bushveld. It's been windy. It's been raining. We've seen some hyenas. Chandra and I have been bustling around in the vehicle with this wind and talking about how we've never really seen a climate like this in the morning, which has been great. Thanks so much, everyone, for being part of this drive. I'm so grateful for the questions, for your of course, viewing me on one of my second drive here at Safari Live. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. You've given me the confidence that I need in order to continue this and learn more, and I'm really enjoying doing the bird list with all of you, and I wish you guys a beautiful day, whatever time of day it is there for you, and yeah, much love. See you later.
So we're coming towards the end of the sunrise safari. Not much sun has been seen, and it is getting colder, believe it or not. The wind is picked up, and we're going to start slowly making our way towards a non-virtual cup of hot chocolate, maybe 2 or 3, and definitely a change of wardrobe. There's some long pants, some boots, and a big jacket. But it has been wonderful having you with us, and you're with us for another couple of minutes while we shiver our way home. Now, hopefully the Nkahuma Pride will jump out of the bush or fly out of the bush and land on quarantine clearings for the sunset safari, but who knows where they have gone. I do have the sneaking suspicion that they are in that block north of the dam. So zoomies, keep a lookout, and if you hear any alarm calls, definitely scan the horizon. Maybe the Nkahuma ladies will pop out for a visit. Oh, there goes my ears again. And I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure that we will have Thandi and Tingana on sunset as well, as he is munching his way through what I'm pretty certain is Karula's darker. Naughty Tingana. But fortunately, Karula is such an effective hunter, I'm pretty sure she'll manage to catch another one in this weather. This is ideal daytime cat hunting weather. And Karula has been known to hunt quite frequently during the day. And hopefully Thandi will not look as miserable on Sunset Safari about her honeymoon being interrupted by a meal. Now, the one thing has been a bit scarce this morning is the elephants, and we actually did see some elephants, but they took off like a bad smell. A lot of animals are not comfortable in the wind, and when it's really windy like this, you've got to be very careful with elephants. So we didn't even get very close to them before they ran off, and we decided to leave the area. So hopefully, if it doesn't clear up and become bright and sunny, the wind just dies down a bit for the sunset safari. Now, I'm not sure whether the update was given, but the Jigger, the third vehicle, has returned from an extended period in vehicle hospital, and it's had a few transplants, a few knee replacements, maybe the odd hip tweak, but hopefully she should be fine and dandy, and I know the tech team will get her up and running. So very good news that we will have 3 vehicles again. Now, of course, only 2 of them will go out, but it's quite useful to have a spare. Now, you can see, Brian and I have been discussing this at length since we have both been chattering through our teeth. And you can see this massive cloud, and it's a very low cloud, and we don't think there's much water in it. But we will see. We might get a bit more drizzle. As I said, I don't think we're going to get any more hard rain again this year. But the cool weather will give the grass a bit of a respite, as well as the trees and leaves. And hopefully it'll just last that little bit longer for the different herbivores that need to feed before the winter months come. Here we go. Oh! So again, I say, thanks for joining us. Brian and I are going to warm ourselves as much as possible.
Yep.
I think I need to find a better blanket, a bigger blanket, a thicker blanket. And I think you need to draw a jacket on the thumb, because he's cold as well. Or maybe a little, you need a mitten for the thumb. But from Brian and myself, the thumb, a thank you to the ladies in Final Control, a thank you to Sam. And we are going to go definitely find some hot chocolate. But don't forget to join us on the Sunset Safari for more excitement out in the wild. Now, goodbye.